Good afternoon, and welcome to this webinar, The Power of a Remote Sales Assistant, Lessons from the Field. This event, brought to you by Roofing Contractor, is sponsored by Delegate CX. I'm your moderator, Art Eisner, Editor-in-Chief of Roofing Contractor, and thank you for joining us today. Our presenters are Rory Young, Chief Revenue Officer at DCX, and Kevin Wall, Vice President of the Roofing Division at DCX. Rory has spent the last 20 years growing niche companies in the United States, initially as a sales and business development rep, and now as CRO and partner at DCX. He's passionate about helping SMBs find the top global talent they need to scale in a smart, sustainable way. Kevin Wall leads the roofing division at DCX, having joined from Job Nimbus, the leading CRM for roofing contractors. With 20 years experience in roofing, construction, and financial services, Kevin is an advocate for strong partnerships and long-lasting relationships. Don't forget to submit your questions later in the program, and our presenters will address as many as possible. Today's event is being recorded and archived on roofingcontractor.com. And now I'm excited to turn it over to today's presenters, Rory and Kevin.
Awesome. Thank you, Art. Thank you all for joining us. It's always a pleasure to be here hanging out with the roofing contractor community. We're excited to walk you through our little presentation for today. So before we get started with everything, what we want to do is give you a quick little introduction to Delegate CX, DCX for short. So let's get started. DCX is the premier overseas hiring agency inside the roofing industry. So our company works with growing, scaling U.S. businesses to help them hire, train, onboard, and most importantly, retain the top global talent that exists very specifically in our business in the Philippines. So we work with a lot of different companies in different industries. And as you can see, a lot of the roles that we typically help our partners with would fall into a entry-level type bucket. But there are lots of different ways to utilize a global workforce, and we're going to get into that a little bit more today. We have been in business for 5 years. We have gone over the last 5 years from 0 to 2,500 full-time employees that are out there working for ourselves and our U.S. partners. And we hit a cool milestone this year with all that growth. We actually finished number 250 on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the U.S. list. So been a fun ride, and enough about us, I'd say. Let's talk a little bit about what we're here for today. Hopefully a topic that is interesting to you all, one that we have a lot of information about, and that is the idea of hiring. And more specifically, we hope to present maybe some out-of-box solutions for how we can make hiring a little bit easier moving forward. So hiring is a universal challenge, regardless of what industry you work in, what type of business you run. So many of the companies that we work with and talk to on a day-to-day basis are giving us a lot of the similar feedback when we're chatting about opportunities. Namely, hiring is hard. It's hard to find people these days. I think we've all kind of had that feeling like, gosh, anybody want to step into these jobs anymore? Hiring is more expensive than it has been in the past, especially over the last 5 years. We've just seen compensation continue to grow, benefits continue to get more expensive. And then overall, hiring is more complicated, takes longer than we'd like it to be. This is something that continues to be a challenge. And, I think these gifts sort of sum up the experience that a lot of people have. Very frustrated. We didn't step into running a business so that we would be dealing solely with HR. And we certainly didn't expect there to be such an administrative burden when it came to the jobs that we were doing. Right, Kevin?
Yeah, especially if you're in a sales role, right? These gifts really sum it up nicely. How frustrating can it be if you want to be in front of a customer up on a roof and you're having to be in front of a computer typing notes, or you're on the phone sifting through papers trying to find the answer to a question a customer might have. It can be really frustrating for your salesperson not doing sales activities. In fact, it's documented about 30 to 40% of a sales rep's time is spent doing admin work instead of selling activities. And I come from Job Nimbus. I spent a lot of years there. And so I understand the importance of administrative work. I understand the importance of documenting stuff, putting it in your CRM. But to read that sales reps spend 5 hours a week inputting data into a CRM, we need to try and find a better way, right? From a sales strategy standpoint, 80% fewer deals are closed if sales support and sales assistants are not a part of your sales strategy. It's a big number, and if you're marketing, you don't want to see those. You don't want to see the money spent on those leads falling out the bottom without getting closed. So the big question is, how can sales assistants help, right? How can sales assistants be a part of your sales strategy? In reality, the easy answer is they can do as much as you trust them to do. And I think as you trust your sales assistant more, you give them more to do, and you find more value in it. So we've listed a few here. Sales assistants can absolutely do the administrative tasks that bog down your day, maintaining your inbox, keeping your calendar organized. I've been in sales a lot of years. How many times you go on vacation for a week and you come back and you've got thousands of emails in your inbox, right? Since I started at DCX, I go on a sales trip, trade show, or on vacation, and it's nice to know that my sales assistant has gone through my inbox and has sifted, and I've got 2 or 3 emails that I have to respond to right away. I see that she has responded to a lot of emails in my absence, and there's a list of emails that I can get to just when I've got time. Obviously, sales assistants can they can also maintain customer relationships. So in the roofing industry, you sell a job, but before you've had a chance to really pass off the relationship to a production manager or to the crew, that customer knows you, and you want to maintain a good relationship with the customer, a good experience for the customer, but they've got questions about shingle color or delivery dates, or giving you gate codes, giving you information that you're going to need. A sales assistant can handle a lot of that work with customers that are already sold. And then one thing that I've really found beneficial in having sales support, sales assistants do, is following up with prospects, talking with existing customers to try and get referrals and leads, so they can be setting up their sales rep for success in the future with that kind of proactive sales work.
If you're like me and a lot of the partners that we talk with, like all that sounds pretty amazing, right? Hopefully we sold you already on this idea, but the next question that's going to come after you're kind of processing all of that and trying to figure out how you could kind of leverage all of that help is, well, don't these individuals need to be next to me every day, right? Like, don't they need to be in my office? Don't we have to, we work in a very like high touch industry. Don't we need to have that human connection? And the thought around this is no. Yes, whenever possible, we want people to be in person, but there is a lot of amazing remote work that happens these days. I think we've all learned over the last few years how to be a little bit smarter with our workflow. And the reality is that probably most of you have actually gotten into a cadence with using outsourced services and different people in a remote way already, right? So from where I see it, roofing contractors kind of serve as the point person for major projects all the time. And you're so reliant on other people in order to keep those things moving along. So if you're owning your own business, then you're probably working with other remote services, whether that be accounting help, IT services, maybe even outsource HR. If you're in a sales leader role, you're probably utilizing a lot of different services and working remotely with other people as well. Marketing and lead gen options that are out there. I know that you can find different estimating tools when you're trying to measure roofs for projects. Maybe you're working with a supplementer that will help you with some of the insurance projects, right? So a lot of the things that Kevin just talked about is actually work that somebody remote is doing for you. You're just not cutting them necessarily a check to work for you every single month. So what we're trying to propose now is an idea of taking a lot of that work and just bringing it slightly more in-house, right? And so the idea here is that hiring remotely gives you an opportunity to invest in someone to do this work just for you, but at a price point that is more manageable. So here is a sample org chart that exists, I would think, in a lot of different companies in our space. And you can see all the roles in red are ones that typically would be positions that we think would be a good opportunity to hire somebody remote for. These are positions that typically would follow a typical workflow that throws through your CRM or other different software. And since we're talking so much about sales support and sales assistance, we want to call out kind of like the biggest benefit that comes from this, and that is the cost savings. So if you were to compare salaries for a domestic hire for a sales assistant, you'd be looking at saving at least half if you were looking for that same type of talent for us in the Philippines. Okay, we're able to tap into a different labor market. There's a different cost of living that allows this cost to be substantially less. But the beauty of this is that it actually is not the only benefit that you get in this situation.
Yeah, I love the cost savings idea, and especially when you consider the costs associated with having more and more sales reps. Leave alone the fact that they're really difficult to find. They're expensive. Really good ones are really expensive, and so going from that really expensive 175,000 ish range for a great salesman to 45 to 60,000 for a sales assistant. Now, if that sales assistant is remote and you're spending 22 to 26,000 dollars a year for that same sales assistant, the cost savings becomes really impactful. There are some myths that are circulating around remote help, particularly offshore. And when I was interviewing with DCX, I had several of these same preconceptions about Filipino labor or offshore labor. For example, a lot of people will say, "Look, hiring offshore, are they as capable? Am I going to get the same level of work offshore as I would?" And in reality, there's so much talent around the world, so many capable people, and you're going to find that same high level of talents in the Philippines as you would in the town next door. And so you're gonna get really high quality, highly trained talented individuals if you hire offshore. Another misconception obviously revolves around the English language, their ability to speak, their ability to write, how strong an accent may be. When I started working with sales assistants and our internal staff at DCX, I was impressed with how well they communicated, how slight their accent is, and I know out of the Philippines, students start speaking English as early as kindergarten, their equivalent of kindergarten, all the way through into high school and into college. So very fluent. English should not be a consideration. One big myth is you lose a lot of control when you hire offshore. I want to be clear. We're not pushing. We're not outsourcing role processes or jobs. What we're doing is we're outsourcing talent, and so hiring somebody remotely shouldn't feel any different than hiring somebody in the next town over. They're still working remote. They're going to report to the same people, work with the same teams. They want to be a part of your team, and you can manage them just like you'd manage anyone else on your team. Another myth, and the slide previously where we talked through those roles in red, those entry level roles. There's a myth that you can only hire those entry level base assistant type roles. And I'll tell you, obviously, those are easier to find. There's more people at entry level positions, but we have found very senior level roles too for roofing companies and other companies as part of DCX, benefits administrators, controllers, senior accountants. We can find those kind of roles for you too. The last, obviously, and we talked about this before, is that the only reason why you want to do this is because it's a cost saving measure. There are a lot of reasons why hiring offshore is a benefit, but one that I found really impactful for me is the idea that retention, we can hold on to people in these really critical roles. I remember maybe it was a couple months ago, I was in Florida with a roofer, and he described his front door as being a revolving door. And he was talking through how hard it was for him to keep customer service reps, to keep supplementing specialists, to keep sales staff in place. US based, that there's a tendency to chase the next dollar or to think that the grass is greener on the other side. With DCX, we pride ourselves on our retention rates. 83% of our team members that we place with US based companies stay there over a year. And in fact, even though we've only been in business for 5 years, our average placed team member has been with their company for 3 years, which are just really amazing stats and speak to the fact that you can find someone, train them, and trust that they're going to be with you for a year or longer. I want to talk to you just briefly about one of our roofing partners. Apex is I think they're in the top 30 roofing companies in the United States. They reached out to us. They initially wanted some help on the accounting side, and so we found them an accounting assistant. It actually is pretty common to start with just one role. After just a brief amount of time, Apex reached back out to us, and we're so impressed with what this one hire had done for them that they wanted to expand and they wanted to fill more roles remotely. To the point now where there's over 25 DCX employees working for Apex, and several of them on the sales side. Brian Biskey, their director of sales, has said that it's been a positive experience and such a load off his day-to-day work. Right, we've got assistants and admins, but we also have setters working for Apex Roofing, getting jobs, getting sales across the finish line for them.
Mute button. The biggest thing we want you guys to see here is like there is a common theme, which is this is an opportunity to free up business leaders, sales leaders alike, to allow the company to grow and scale, right? So a lot of what we talked about right now kind of boils down to a few different areas, and we kind of see this as a multi-step approach in order to utilize the service to truly grow your business. First is admitting that there is an issue here, and we think the major issue is sort of the time crunch. Kevin rolled out a lot of those stats about how a salesperson's time is spent doing a lot of things other than selling. And that is just a tried and true issue that we see across the board. So the more that we can see that issue and start to work towards fixing it is the first step. The second one is a shift in mindset about what we do with that information. I think a lot of companies, when they see a salesperson maybe starting to hit their limit of what they can do, just think they got to throw more salespeople at the equation. When truly, if we dive in and realize that more sales reps aren't actually the answer, we want to set up the support team in order to get that salesperson actually, being more efficient and maximizing their time, that is a more scalable way to bring in great business and keep your business very profitable. So, find the best people that you can, set them up with the team that they need in order to really maximize their potential. And then you start to scale from there with that model going forward. So growth is the name of the game. We think that with the right support, the right people in the right seats, this is something that can be set up to scale much faster than the traditional methods.
Yeah, a lot of roofers, I've talked with several, and it seems like there's a few thresholds when we talk about growth. There's getting to that $3 million number, right? And from 3 to 5 million, a lot of roofers can hover in that range. But then the next milestone is 10 million, and from there it's 25 million. A lot of roofers struggle getting there, and it's because, like Rory said, we need a shift in mindset. We need to find smarter ways to scale more rather than just grow. And you guys may be in that category where you're stuck at some number and can't seem to break past that and really achieve the revenue goals that you want to hit. So we found that maybe there's three buckets that roofers find themselves in. The first is they're getting started, not necessarily with the roofing company, but they're getting started with the idea of how do I grow, how do I expand, how do I hit my revenue targets. If you're in that position, you're just like, what is the next step? We would love to talk with you. We would love to consult with you. We would love to just learn a little bit about your business, figure out what your processes look like, particularly on the HR side, on the sales side, and evaluate with you if you're in a position or if it makes sense to bring on a sales assistant and bring on an offshore sales assistant. I'm happy to consult with you. You may be in a position where you recognize that there are some gaps. You recognize that this is something that maybe makes sense, but you don't know what work you want to give to your assistant or what a job description would look like, how you would divide that labor, right? Again, we can talk with you and we can work with you to figure out, hey, what is the lane for a sales assistant versus what is the lane for a sales rep? And we can help define those job descriptions. And once we have a job description, if you want to talk to a few of our Roofing Academy graduates, we can set that up for you. Or you may be so far along in your process that you know you want it, you know you need it, you've got the job description in place, and you're ready to pull the trigger on someone. Obviously, that's a great golden situation, and we would love to talk with you too, and help make that happen. But wherever you're at, let's talk and let's evaluate your business and see if something makes sense. Um, this is our contact information. My email address is here. My parents spelled my name wrong, so don't worry about writing it down or sending me an email. I'll ping everybody on this webinar, and just so you've got my email address and phone number if you want to reach out. We have plans to be at IRE and RoofCon and all the shows next year. So come, if nothing else, find us at our booth and visit with us. Would love to chat with you. Rory's contact information is also here if you want to chat with him. I think that's it for our presentation. Art, you may be on mute still.
Oh, uh-oh.
You're good now.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Thanks for a great presentation, guys. Before we have some time to address the questions that have been submitted, I just wanted to remind you that we love your feedback in our webinar survey to help improve future. All right. And now for our first question. So, interesting. We're talking about offshoring, right? How important is the knowledge of the local area for the companies that that these sales assistants are working with, and to what level does DCX help them get at least accustomed to that aspect, so that technicians or so that sales assistants can understand things as big and small as like weather or traffic situations that might you know uh, uh, present problems for scheduling appointments, that type of thing.
It's a great question. Okay, I'll take this one, Kev. Um,
Yeah.
to be honest, our training program, we didn't go too much in depth of that, but we are finding incredibly talented people, and then in the roofing industry, we're actually training people on this industry before they even have an opportunity to start working for our partners. That training does need to be pretty general, and we do need to make sure that we're giving them a nice overview of the industry, of the day-to-day work, of the major platforms, things like that. So we can't get so specific in our pre-training about different geographical areas and things like that. But the beauty of our model is that this allows for a normal training and onboarding experience that you would have with, domestic hires, but you have a staff working at DCX that is there to make things run even smoother. So part of our process is to sit with our new partners, understand what's important in the world, figure out some of the most important training topics that somebody now in the role needs to know about. And then we get a chance to sit down together and figure out what tools do we have to get them up to speed on the traffic patterns. What is important? What do you already have as far as training materials? And then how can our team help supplement that with you? So very collaborative experience. And in the first 30 days or so, we get a chance to really tailor the training based on what your needs are.
Hey, great. Kevin, I'm glad you mentioned the perception, also because I wanted to ask, how important has the transparency aspect of the offshore sales assistant been for your customers? I mean, do they necessarily care that this person might not know my geography or my expressway routes as much as getting these particular tasks done?
Yeah, my experience, I honestly haven't had that question. My personal experience has been, I have a very collaborative relationship with my sales assistant. She and I talk every day. Now I'm not on the road as much, and so understanding, driving patterns and traffic and everything else is less important for me. But she definitely understands what I like and what I need. And as we've gotten to know each other in any kind of like you would in any professional relationship, we've learned to work with each other's strengths, and lean in where it makes sense for us, right? And so, from a sense of, I think the question was specifically around it, an HVAC business and understanding traffic patterns and things like that. And it just helps to have good relationships with those that you work alongside. And like Rory mentioned, we're so collaborative in how we do this, which I think sets DCX apart just a little bit, but but that collaborative nature, just like I would collaborate with somebody in marketing to get a particular asset or have something worded the way that I want, I would collaborate with my sales assistant to say, hey, I want to avoid this freeway between this time and this time, right? Particularly, I know in roofing, a lot of storm areas. I mean, Houston, it seems like rush hour in Houston is like you have like an hour and a half right around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right before rush hour picks back up again. And so there are things that we need to be cognizant of, but that just comes with working with each other.
Obviously, you've got a history with Job Nimbus. Is there any advantage to pre-train on a program like that or other CRMs for that
I
basic
think that
level?
there is. Yeah, I think that there is. Now, in our roofing academy, I love what they've set up, and it was put in place before I got here. But having a cursory knowledge of the way that boards look, and a lot of the CRMs are very similar, right? I've got experience with AccuLynx and Job Nimbus and ProLine and Service Titan and everything else, and a lot of it is set up very similarly with boards and job and typing in contact information. And so with that level of things being similar, then having some understanding is really beneficial. Part of the roofing academy too talks through the anatomy of a roof. What are the different parts? What where is a valley, hip and ridge? What's a drip edge, ice and water shield? Those kind of things. They get an understanding of it so that they can talk intelligently internally, but they can have intelligent conversations with customers too, which I think is just so valuable. So all of that training, while it's kind of surface level, sets them apart and gets them set up for success.
Rory, how does a business owner or roofing contractor kind of figure out which admin tasks are really the best suited, for this type of assistant? Is it someone is simply, being able to answer those calls or support people in the field for specific things?
Yeah, I mean, so much of this is custom to your needs, and the short answer to all of it is that I think we can find team members to do whatever it is that your business needs. So we do have, to answer the question in the chat, we do have a lot of team members that are simply on the phones and talking to clients and are very client facing. Typically, we want to make sure they get an opportunity to train within your business and understand your culture and how you like to have relationships with clients. But absolutely, that is a part of the skill set. And if you're looking for somebody that takes on a little bit more of a behind the scenes role, maybe someone that is incredibly organized and task driven, great. We have some people that have that kind of background as well. So this gets to be decided on the company level. We do not have a menu, a one-stop shop, and this is exactly what someone does for you. We're trying to really provide people with that basic knowledge so they can step into a lot of different roles.
But generally find that if you've got a pain point or two, there's something there's something for you to find, in your sphere.
Absolutely. We have literally thousands of college educated, intelligent people that have a wide array of different backgrounds. And so, anything, especially in this industry, that ending up on the administrative side of things or just the time sensitive side of things are usually great areas to start with.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for questions today. Please join me in thanking our presenters, Rory Young and Kevin Wall, as well as our sponsor, Delegate CX.